This coming Sunday in the Gospel, Jesus speaks of going to prepare a place, the Father's house, in which there are many dwelling places, the abiding place of God in heaven. But as hopeful as dwelling with God throughout eternity is, the disciples were confused. How can they go to an unknown place? How can they know the Father, whom they have not seen? We can almost hear their exasperation and the frustration in Jesus' voice as he expresses one of the great mysteries of our Christian faith. When we know Jesus, we know the Father. Where the Father is, so is the Lord. They dwell in perfect union with one another. And so, as people who have been drawn to Christ through baptism and are nourished in this union through God's Word and in the Eucharist, we too know and may call God our Father. This union is a deep mystery that is at the very heart of what it means to be a Christian. This brings us to the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles. We, the living stones, who are drawn into union with Christ, are also to live in communion with one another. Furthermore, elsewhere in the Bible, St. Paul says, when one suffers, all suffer. It was not easy for the early Christians to learn to form community with one another, nor is it easy for us today. We live in a culture that prizes the individual, me first, every person for him or herself. Yet, as Christian disciples, we are to follow Christ's way. Sacrificial love, a love that unites us with one another and to all of humanity. This kind of love in action is shown in our words and works. With our actions and attitudes, we are able to show we have found the way to the dwelling place God has for us. Recently, I have seen the compassion of our parishioners through an ongoing food drive to benefit families who have no income due to the pandemic. A group of dedicated volunteers has been delivering the food donations these families daily. A Good Samaritans call the elderly in the parish to check on them weekly and offer grocery shopping and pharmacy pickup in many cases. These practical and real acts of love are what the holy priesthood of the baptized is all about. This is how we live the gospel message. Even though we cannot gather at Mass, volunteers have been maintaining the parish grounds through weekly lawn mowing, tree trimming, and mulching of the flower beds, so that when we are able to come back and worship together, we will have a well cared for dwelling place, as it were, to gather in as family of God. There are some announcements. There is no youth ministry this Sunday because of Mother's Day. Confirmation candidates, your letters to the bishop are due by this Sunday. And as always, may God continue to bless you all.